Hi, this is Yulia, the voice behind the podcast Love to Heal. Join me on a journey of self-discovery, healing, and spiritual growth. In this podcast, I will share with you my knowledge and experiences of how love miraculously changed and keeps changing my life for the better, and how it can do the same for you. It is my hope that every listener will benefit from this podcast and will spread the love, which truly does work wonders. In today's episode, you will hear me interview Hanna Stone, a chakras coach. Originally from Israel, Hanna now resides in Austin, Texas, and practices energy and somatic healing, both in person and online. In case you're new to the world of energy healing, let me give you a quick overview and mention some important terminology. The word chakra means wheel, and it refers to energy points in your body. They are thought to be spinning discs, if you will, of energy that should stay open and aligned as they correspond to bundles of nerves, major organs, and areas of our energy body that affect our emotional and physical well-being. There are 7 main chakras, the root chakra being the first at the base of the spine, and 7th being at the crown chakra at the tip of the head. Each chakra has a corresponding number, name, color, and specific area of the spine. A blocked chakra can manifest as physical or emotional issue. Hanna will also refer to somatic healing, which is a form of alternative therapy aimed at treating trauma and stress-related disorders. The primary goal of somatic therapy is to release the pent-up tension that's weighing on our emotional and physical well-being, and this can be done through breathing exercises, meditation, and other forms of body movement. Hanna also has a very unique and intriguing story of how she began her healing journey. So I hope you enjoy the interview, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Love to Heal podcast. Hi, everybody. I have a special guest today. Her name is Hanna Stone, aka Chakras Queen. So welcome, Hanna.
Hello, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So there's so much I want to talk to you about, but I guess let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah. So the interesting thing for me is that I came from a, a super Orthodox family, like a super Orthodox family in Israel. So like Jewish Orthodox family. It was very extreme religion. It's like almost like a cult that I was born and raised in. And so for me growing up, actually, because this is the way that I associated spirituality with, like with the religion. So for me growing up, it was very traumatizing. So I was super turned off by the concept of spirituality, or at least what I thought it was at the time. And yeah, so growing up there, I was very, very anti-spirituality. And, I left my parents' house when I was 14 because, like I said, it was a cult, and I always kind of was like a free spirit, I should say. And I just I could not really get along with the ways that they presented life with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just decided to leave when I was 14. Thankfully, I was the black sheep of the family, and I know most people probably wouldn't say thankfully about that, but it was actually what pushed me to leave and what pushed me to where I'm at today, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just funny because last night I went on a walk with my partner, and I told him like I'm so grateful for like where I came from, because it really pushed me to come to my truth. Like it's like I chose being born in this family for these reasons, because this is the way. It's like my soul was like thinking like, or not thinking, but like just really kind of like planning the way for me, like, okay, where should I fit in, and like what family am I supposed to come in order for me to come out to my truth as fast as possible. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
Wow. Do you still keep in touch with your family?
I, you know, yeah, I do, but I have so I have 10 siblings. We're 11 kids. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
familiar with like the super extreme Jewish Orthodox family, like they have a lot
Yes,
of kids.
yes.
So, yeah, so I have two sisters out of the 11, like out of the 11, I have two sisters here in the US live next to me. The rest are in Israel. Some of them I haven't talked in years. Some of them I talk more. Some of them it's kind of hard to keep in touch with my siblings because some of them are just in a different world, and it's like kind of even hard to reach them because some of them don't even have like a phone where I can just
Mhm.
message them like with internet, you know? And with my parents, there was a time that I didn't talk to my mom for 4 years because there was a lot of rage and a lot of things that I was going through with my relationship with my mom. But now we talk. We're the kind of family that we're not very much in contact, but there's no weird thing happening right now. Like I really worked through a lot of things with my relationship with my mom, like in my own journey. So now I feel like a lot of love for her and understanding.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
so
good. Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. If you actually worked out personally um, this relationship, because relationship with our parents is important for our spiritual development, I feel. And, we can't live our lives keeping a grudge or some resentment towards anybody because it poisons us. So that's good to hear that you have a relationship, some kind of
yeah,
relationship. Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting because with my mom, when I was since I was a kid, it was always like I had a lot of resentment for her. Like I used to hate her. Like I remember me being a kid and I used to like, I feel really bad to say it, but I used to like pray that she'll die because like how
Mm.
much I did not get along with her. And then throughout my journey, this feelings turned into, there was like some rage there towards her. There was some, and then, it was like kind of going through all of the rainbow of emotions, and then
Mhm.
came back to understanding her and I have empathy towards her and then loving her. Like so that I had a really big process like a few months ago where I felt like pure like love towards her, and
Mm.
I was like
Wow.
feeling like, oh wow, we're very similar. So it was
That's,
interesting.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get along on your own at such a young age when you left your home?
Yeah, but it was kind of like I said, I was like the black sheep of the family, so I used to kind of do things on my own and kind of follow my own way. I always like went to friends and stayed with friends for like hours and hours. And so leaving when I was 14, I went to like dorms. I don't know if you're familiar with like it's like it was like still religious places that I went to,
Mhm.
which was basically like boarding school, I would say, like a place where you go and you stay there and you sleep there and everything.
Is it like a kibbutz or something?
No, it was not a kibbutz. Because kibbutz, it's not necessarily like religion.
Ah,
So this was very extreme religious. It was like a facility with like like the old movies where there's like a house mother, like not
mhm.
I don't know if you call it a house mother, but like a facility where you stay there and you study there and you go to school
Sure.
there, and
Yeah,
yeah,
boarding school. Yeah.
boarding school, yeah.
Mhm.
So yes, I went to boarding school and it was a little bit too extreme for me. And so I was under, obviously under the age 18. So under the age 18, like my mom had to sign for me. My parents had to sign for me because I couldn't go to a place where without their permission. So it was only like very religious places, super extreme religious.
Okay.
And after 1 year in the first place, I was like, okay, I cannot do it. This is too extreme for me. I need something a little bit less. And then I went to another year. I tried something a little bit less, but it was also very extreme. It was like like a jail pretty much. Like you're not allowed to leave, and you have to dress a certain way. Like you can only leave like maybe 10 minutes a week with the with the organizers, or
Mhm.
something like that. And then after that year I was like, this is too much for me, I can't do this. And then the third year it was something a little bit way less extreme. Like the manager of the apartments thing that
Mhm.
I was at, she knew actually that she knew like my situation. She knew that I don't keep Shabbat, and like she knew that like I walk with like pants, which is not allowed. You usually have to wear like
Mhm.
long dresses, and like you probably know.
Yes.
Um but like she knew, but it was still like following the rules was really, really hard for me. So after like half of like that year, it was I didn't stay the whole year, but that year I was like, okay, you know what? Like, this is just not for me. This whole like
Mhm.
religion thing and rules, like, it's just not, I just cannot, no matter like the amount of level, it's just not for me. I just cannot do it. So that's when I decided to leave, and I wanted to go to like a normal school, like a normal high school, basically, like,
Mhm.
where you have like, all the studies and everything. And, it's like
Sure.
kind of like, oh, not such like strict rules. And my mom told me the sentence that she prefers that I'll be in the street than non-religious school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's like very brainwashed over there. So basically, I was like, okay, well, we were able to kind of like meet in the middle, and there was like a external school that I could go to just like specific hours, and it's kind of like it's not really religious, but it's also not completely non-religious. And I stayed living with my grandparents, my mom's parents, in Ramat Gan. I don't know if you're familiar,
No.
next to Tel Aviv. It's
Right.
right next to,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I lived with them for like a year and a half until I right before I joined the army, the Israeli
Wow.
military.
Okay. Wow. I mean, the army, that's a whole other experience, right?
Oh
Which
yeah.
I'm sure also shaped you into who you are today. Do you want to touch on that at all?
Yes, I mean, I would love to, because I think there's yeah, I mean, from my perspective, going to the Israeli military was like the most it like saved me. Really, it saved me. Because before the army, when I used to live with my grandparents, it was like a time where I was kind of like I was living with them, but a lot of times they were old, so a lot of times they locked the door on me, so I stayed at the street a lot. But I never like slept in the street. Like I thankfully I had a lot of friends that I could crash. But
Mhm.
there was some days that I had like backpack, and I had no idea where I'm gonna sleep tonight. And like so and at that time I was working too until late. Sometimes I was working in a retail store. So it was kind of like I was kind of living with them, but at the same time I had like this freedom to do whatever. And then when I left them, I went to this place. It's like called like a lone soldier house, where all the people that are lone soldiers, meaning like they don't have like connection with their families, either their families in the US or some other country, or their family are religious like my situation, or their families like they don't have family for one reason or another. So this house of soldiers, like the lone soldier house, it's like a building, like kind of like boarding school, but it's obviously way different because it's like open. You can go wherever, you're pretty much free. So I was able to join that place like a year before I joined the army, because I had a sister there and I had a brother there. Only 3 out of the 11 joined the army. Join the army for me was really, really important, because it's like having a frame that I didn't have. Like it's all of a sudden having my commander who cared about me, and he took care of
Mhm.
me like a father, that I didn't have. Like I don't even my dad, when I used to live at my parents' house, my dad wasn't really the kind of person that had the father archetype. He was very he was very deep in the religion, really cared about studying the Bible, and just like be a good a good religious
Mhm.
Jew person. And so, being in the army really helped me to kind of having my own like having a frame, and I feel like the frame helped me to kind of grow up, kind of like, I mean, I developed a lot of discipline. I started kind of understanding what I like, what I don't like. Like I had the time and space, or not the time, more like the space. I had the space to start exploring myself. Like, who is Hannah? Like, what do I like to do? And that's where, the second year of the army, that's when I got into health and fitness, which I had no idea. I had, it's like,
Right.
so I feel like the army was really helpful for me to have that like place for 2 years to just like blossom. As it was really, really sweet experience for me, the army.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I know you also have an interest in healthy foods, right? Healthy
Yeah.
lifestyle, everything.
Yes.
I am also very much interested in that. In fact, my previous episode was on enlightened eating and
Mhm.
the proper foods to clear your mind, to help you connect with your inner self and such. So I would also love to hear your point of view on that.
Oh, I love that. I love that you did this episode. It's so I think it's so important
Yeah.
in this world that we live in. And like I have chills when I say it right now. It's like talking more about like our relationship with food is so crucial, because even when people are into health and fitness, they are abusing food. They're abusing, their bodies. And that's where I was for many years. Like I started with health and fitness in 2014 when I was, like I said, the second year of my being in the army. And at that time, I was approaching this whole thing from a place of I need to change myself. I need to fix myself. I'm not good enough. I need to, if I'm gonna be fit, I'm gonna find love. Or I'm like this scarcity mindset of like I need to eat healthy and watch my calories, because if not, I'm gonna gain weight. So there's like a lot of fear that was involved with it. And then, I became a fitness and nutrition coach after, a few years after, and I started kind of like doing the traditional, gym training and, helping people with like the diet plans and training and all of that. And then when COVID hit, in 2020, I became basically that's when I started my healing journey. Like I started going very deep, and because there was like a situation that happened at that time. But anyways, it's like really made me kind of going deeper into myself and find like the reasons why I'm like this with food and my body. Like why am I like, and even become aware of like the patterns, like the negative patterns that I had with like how I'm treating my body and how I'm treating food. And I really kind of became aware of like having a serious emotional eating problem, and
Mhm.
binge eating and food addiction, and we're super restricted. I would go in super restrictive diet, and for like 2 months, and then I
Yeah.
would kind of going into like crazy binges and stuff. So I was able to really dive deep into it and find the root cause of where it even started, which is something that started way, way earlier in childhood for me.
Mm.
Like since the moment I could remember myself, like literally, like I remember with my coach, like going into my mother's womb and finding out that my emotional eating started in my mother's womb.
Oh,
That's
wow.
when it started for me. So yeah, so it was a lot of, and then after I was going through this journey of like healing my relationship with food, I decided to shift my business a little bit to focus more on that, helping women overcoming negative relationship with food and body image, and coming to like the idea of health and fitness from a place of love. Like notice the energy that you're coming from. Like, so I was coming from energy of like fear, and I need to fix myself, or I need to change myself because I'm not good enough, and was able to shift that to energy of like, oh, I love myself, I honor myself, I respect myself, and this is why I choose to move my body in this way. This is why I choose to put these ingredients in my body, if that makes
Mm.
sense. And then
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, I was going to say it's perfect how you said it. You need to come from a place of love. And this is my podcast is called Love to Heal, which it has double meaning. I love to heal people, I love to help them heal, but also you need love in order to heal. That's the only way. So, okay, this is wonderful, beautiful story. I love it. What about the chakras aspect? How did you get into that?
Ooh, the chakras. I love talking about the chakras. Like, let me talk about this for the rest of my life
Mm-hmm.
because this is why I came here. At least as far as I know. How I got involved into with the chakras is, I started my healing journey, and when I started my healing journey, I did a lot of somatic work with my coach for like 3.5 years. We were doing like very deep, intense, like somatic work, like going into the body, get to know it. And then after those 3.5 years, I started kind of going deeper into my healing journey. I started to I got really deep in meditations and really deep in also some plant medicine ceremonies. And it just like opened a whole new world for me that was more like energetic. So I was able to I felt drawn to learn about the chakras, and I learned about it from my own experiences. Like if I was in a process, whether if I was meditating or whether if I was plant medicine ceremony, like having like the reference point for it. And I started to kind of like learn about it. I started, reading books about it. I started like listening to lots of videos. I remember like literally 24/7 like learning about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like felt to me like at some point after learning about it for so long, it felt to me like at some point I was like kind of getting the idea. It's like all of a sudden became like an intuitive thing for me. Like so like for example, now like I'll talk to someone and I'll have like an intuitive feeling of like what's happening with their chakras, like an image or something, like what's happening, and I can kind of see like what's happening and where. And also, so like when someone is talking to me, like let's say I have a client and they're sharing something with me, and so when they're sharing their like whatever it is, literally anything,
Mm-hmm.
I automatically diagnose it or like kind of translating it to the chakra map. And to me, working with the chakras as a map has been like tremendously like powerful, because when like so everything starts from energy, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
everything starts with the energetic body, like in the subtle body, like with energy. So like being able to go to that place and find where is the root cause of, like, let's say my situation with my emotional eating,
Mm-hmm.
like finding what was the root cause in my energetic body, in my chakras. It's like it's been like, instead of trying to just fix the symptom and try to work on the symptom, and it can be the same thing for stress, anxiety, codependency,
Right.
negative relationship with money, literally anything. Instead of trying to fix the symptom, it's going to the root cause of where it started. And it can be childhood trauma, it can be generational trauma, it can be past life trauma, it can be society programming, it can be something that like it can be a combination of all of these things,
Sure.
it's like, no, and it's like going to the root cause of like where it was being created, instead of trying to fix and kind of go around it. It's like it's been really I mean, and I don't want like people to think that it's easy, because it's really not easy.
That
Doing
was
this work
actually,
is not easy at
yeah.
all, but to me, in my experience, at least in my experience, like working with the chakras has been more simple, a little bit more simple. It's like
Mm-hmm.
more not getting lost too much, but more like knowing, like kind of like translate it to the map and see, okay, this is where I'm at on the map and this is why. Okay, I'm just gonna go and work with this root of thing, instead of trying to throw spaghetti on the wall and see whatever's gonna,
Right.
catch.
Yeah. So that
So,
was going to be my next question is, so if someone comes to you with anxiety, so let's say the reason I started my healing journey is because I have had anxiety since high school.
mm.
So, I've worked with, you name it, everybody, hypnotists and past life regressions and everything. And so like if I were to come to you, how would you work with me? So you would identify a chakra that is unbalanced
So
or
no, usually I don't. So okay, so I'm really glad that you're bringing it up, because it's really important for me to mention that the way I like to work with people is not by telling them
Mhm.
what's quote unquote what's wrong with them or whatever, what
Okay.
they need to feel. It's more like I'll like, so okay, so for example, you come to me, on a session, and you're speaking about, having anxiety. So what I'll do in this situation is like, I'll kind of, the way I like to do the process is I incorporate energy healing combined with somatic guidance. So the way it looks in actual like practical like explanation is basically you close your eyes, we're starting the process. I'm starting to do the energy healing, and I'm asking you, so when you're tuning in with your anxiety, like when you're tuning in with your body, where do you feel that anxiety in your body right now? And then, we're going into that place. Let's say, okay, I feel it in my chest right now.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
where I've
I'm
always
gonna
felt it.
yeah, right. So I'm going to ask you, okay, so what's the shape of the experience that you're feeling in your chest? I'll ask like a 3 question, like to kind of identify what it is. So usually it's going to be shape, texture, and color. And I love working, the color is really important for me because it tells me a lot later when we work with the chakras, because it's really interesting. Like, so let's say you feel like a triangle red smooth thing in your chest, and this is the anxiety. So to me, the red shows me, and I'm not saying anything yet, but it's like I'm already kind of receiving insight. The red is related to root chakra. Root chakra is related to safety, security, stability, survival needs. It's related with fear. So it's like, okay, now, okay, it's just a little note that I'm
Mhm.
taking, but then we continue. Okay, so now we're gonna get to know that triangle red smooth thing that you have in your chest. So now imagine you sitting on a bench next to it and then ask it questions. So with the energy healing, I'm guiding you to basically ask it questions. So like, why are you here? When did you come here? What do you want to teach me? What do you want to show me? So basically, ultimately, it's like starting to develop like a relationship with that, or like triangle thing that's, you think that it's like it's a bad thing that's coming to ruin your life. And what's funny that most all the time, like 99.9% of the times, usually that thing, when once you start developing a relationship, you find that it's actually here to protect you. It's actually here because it wants to protect you. It wants to have like, not always. There was some things that it's just like a really like something that just wants to ruin your, like something that's really, really old. That happens too, but like most of the time it's like something that's just trying to protect you, or it's somewhere along those lines. And so once we get to know it, it's like, okay, so then from there we can go to a lot of different things. We can go to like, maybe there's an emotion that's going to come up, so then we just like kind of stay with the emotion and we giving it space, and kind of like try to go to the bottom of the emotion and scoop all of it out, because the way I see emotions, it's like energy in motion. So
Mhm.
energy just wants to move, right? So like
Yes.
the whole process idea that we're doing is basically moving stuck energy, whether if it's with emotion, sometimes talking about it, and the energy healing helps a lot of movement there. Sometimes there, there's going to be a lot of situations where my clients see their child self, like they'll see themselves in age 5, and then like, and then like we're going into guided imagery. Like, okay, so I'll ask them like, okay, so you see yourself, like, what do you notice about yourself? Like, what a little Yulia looks like, right? Like, what's her facial expression, body language? And then we can kind of do the process of going as who you are today and give her and be there for her exactly how she needed, or depending on the situation, or giving her like a magic wand, and she can just literally create whatever she wants at the time. So it depends kind of on the situation and like the age, but it can go to a lot of different places. But the really the main thing is that we start to develop relationship with like certain things in our body. And then whenever they're ready, if they're ready, only if they're ready, we ask them to transmute back into light. So a lot of healers, like they like to remove things. I personally, it's very, 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 very rare that I'll do it. I can do it sometimes, but I prefer not. I prefer to come from energy of love and getting to know that thing and give that thing love, and telling it it's safe. You can transmute back into light, and then we do the transmutation, but only if it's ready. And the thing is that really we ask it, are you ready to transmute? And sometimes it'll tell my clients like, no, I need a couple more weeks. So the main thing for me is that I don't it's like everything that I do with my clients, they receive the answers from their own body. I'm not really doing anything. I'm more like a GPS. Let's put it
Right.
like that. So like for me, it's like basically I think the energy healing really helps them to kind of bring things to the surf like forward, because they can see the images, they can see the memories, they can get the messages, like get a lot of clarity, messages, guidance, whatever we work on. And so the thing for me is that I actually learn a lot from my sessions with my clients. I learn a lot from their bodies because their body has so much wisdom, and
Mhm.
they tell me what their body's telling them, and I'm like, whoa, this is so wise. I'm learning from it. So I really like that.
Do you have to do the sessions in person or can they be done
Well,
online?
I actually do mostly online.
Oh,
I just now recently started to take in person here, but
okay.
mostly I do online actually.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
that's
works really great online, and it's different online and in person. It has a
mhm.
different flavor, but it's very powerful both ways. It's just different a little bit.
Okay. And so how many sessions typically do you do with a client? Or
So usually I would do with a client every other week just because there's a lot that's happening in a session. And usually I'll also send my clients with like self-love assignments. I don't like to say
Mhm.
homework, but I
Uh-huh.
send them home with self-love assignments, like specifically with the chakras. So like for example, let's say we work on inner child work within the root chakra. And so I'll send them home with like some self-love assignments to do on their own time. And it's basically prompts, either if it's prompts or maybe write a specific letter to a specific part of you, or maybe whatever the situation is. And the way I like to like do the video journaling, I like to do video journaling, which is not a regular journal. When I giving them the prompt, like when I give them the prompts, I prefer them to do video journaling. And the reason is because when we do video journaling, there are two things that are happening. First of all, we can hear ourselves, like we speak out loud and we can hear ourselves, and it's like has so much more power to me. And
Mm.
everybody's different. Some of my clients prefer to write, some of my clients prefer to do art, so it's really different. But it's like video journaling or recording, it has a really like powerful thing because when you speak to a camera, it's like you're speaking to someone and like you saying things out loud, and then you're like, oh wow, as I'm saying it, like this is coming up. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that it's like a lot of insights are coming up. That's the first thing. But the other thing that's really, really big for me with what I'm doing is because everything that I did is somatic and energetic. That's pretty much my main things. And emotional, of course, but when you speak to it in a camera, you're talking about it, and then like there is more space for you to kind of feel what's happening in your body. So like, for example, like, whoa, as I'm sharing this, like, story from childhood that didn't make me feel safe because my dad was abusive or whatever. I'm not my dad. I'm just saying
Mhm.
a story, right? Wow, as I'm talking about it, I feel it's like tightness in my throat. Oh, I feel some sadness coming up. And then there's like space to be with the sadness, to just let the emotion come through without, trying, like really be aware of like my body. And that's really the main thing why I'm giving them the prompts, because the prompts, the main thing for them, the whole thing, it's not for you to tell me your story in a video, but it's more for you to move that energy while you're bringing those things up, like moving that energy with one way or another.
Okay.
So to me, it's like, and then also another thing that's really kind of sweet, which I like,
Mhm.
is I have like a whole folder that I call my documentary show. And in my documentary show, I do videos like imagine yourself like looking at video from 10 years ago when you did your healing journey. Or, I mean, I'm always doing videos, me personally,
Yeah.
like that's the way I like to process things. And it's like looking at videos from 20 years ago and oh my God, like I remember this time, I remember this house, I remember this. It's just another sweet way to, you know, have like it's like a journal, but it's video journal. So
Right.
it's really like it.
That's really neat. I didn't know about this method before, but yeah, I love it. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Let me know if you try it. Let me know how it is. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've always been the kind of person to write stuff down. I love writing. That's how I feel everything just comes out and comes through.
Mm,
But
okay.
now, yeah, now that I'm doing this podcast, which is, I started it last year. So this is very new for me personally to use my voice. I'm not ready for video yet, but I feel like I will be will be ready for video too at some point. But yeah, right now I'm just getting used to hearing myself, to be honest. So
Mm,
this whole
I love
podcast that I'm doing while I Absolutely. One of the goals is to help people learn to heal themselves through love. Another reason, a little bit selfish, but it helps me also to, it's like this cathartic moment every time I finish a podcast and I put it out there into the world. And I'm hoping, people will listen to it and feel that love with me. And just so many things just make sense once you put them out there. Just, yeah, that's how I feel.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like you're already kind of doing it by doing this podcast. And I think it's,
Right.
I love what you're doing. I think it's so important and it's so like inspiring. And yeah, I totally resonate with like, feeling like you're helping others, but also it really
Hmm.
helps you this process. I
Yeah.
feel the same. So,
Thank you. Yeah. So what is your like main goal in life? I mean, you're still fairly young and you have this business, you have clients. Is there another goal that you're working towards?
I feel pretty much in alignment right now. My I guess my goal, because it is a goal, my goal is always to be in alignment, follow the energy, always follow the energy. That's like always my goal, like being able to follow the energy wherever it's going, just follow, like kind of go with it.
I was going to ask you if energy is synonymous with intuition at all, or is that something totally different?
Yeah, it's to me, it's intuition, it's alignment, it's I feel like the energy is leading me to always towards the right direction, and I just need to stay open and in tune with that energy and like follow it.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what it feels like. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to say is that one of my goals is to be okay with whatever comes my way.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's something that I've been able to, it's something I've been calling in for a while, but yeah, it feels like basically being okay whenever things are not okay too, because
Right.
things are not always going to be okay. It's sometimes going
Absolutely.
to be pain, and just be okay whenever it's not okay.
Yeah.
Whenever it's harsh, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that leads me to another question. I don't feel that I need to be part of any particular religion. I feel that you can be spiritual without religion. I also feel that you can learn a lot from religion too. And in a lot of my episodes, I do talk about the Bible. I do talk about the Old Testament. There are things that I feel like I can learn from that. But so what is your relationship currently with our creator? I don't know. Like, do you still refer to God? Do you say higher self?
Yeah, I love this question. Yeah, my point of view is I don't see things like there is a God and he's over there and we're over here.
Hmm.
The way I like to, so the way that I'm able to feel I feel the God energy or whatever. I don't call it God, I call it source. And I call
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
basically, so source energy, we all have it within us.
Right.
And so I'm just gonna go from this point. So let's say there's a human, me, I'm Hannah. I'm a human in this human body, and it's like my soul chose this body in this lifetime,
Hmm.
right? So that's the way I see things, and maybe some people wouldn't see things the same way, but like this is the way I like to see things. So there is and I'm basically, it's like to me being a human in this body, it's a tag. It's a temporary thing. It's like a tag of a clothes that you can kind
Hmm.
of, it's like just a tag, it's a label, right? And so, and then going from that place to be like witness the person, like being able, basically you could say it, like call it my higher self or my soul, my inner being,
Hmm.
being able to witness my human self, like being able to witness like where, the stories, the trauma, all the like the play. It's like I feel like we're playing a game in this human bodies, in this
Yeah.
world, in this earth, and it's like the witness, just witness it without being lost in it. So like the witness is just like almost like feeling like it's very neutral. The witness, it's like just like sitting there, just eating popcorn, just watching the what's happening. It's like watching like the human in a bubble, and like the witness just kind of like watching, and it's neutral. And then the witness has another witness, which that witness feels to me, and I'm sure like it goes like there's like all the different realms, but like eventually I could feel like the infinite field of like energy, which even to be like before the infinite field of the energy, like the energy, like infinite energy field, before that, there's the pure consciousness that we're all in it. Like it's pure consciousness that's like it's infinite pure consciousness, and it's not even moving, it's still, where the energy field is moving, it's always moving, and it's
Hmm.
dense in one places. And like let's say in Israel it's more dense right now because of everything that's happening, so that I could kind of see the infinite energy field, which is fun to play with. I really like to play with the energy, but then before that, even prior to that, is the pure consciousness. And I don't know if have you ever got into Kabbalah?
Oh, that's interesting that you asked that because my husband and I have recently been talking about starting to get into that because it's always been in our mind. We just haven't really taken the step, but we really want to.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I got into it a little bit, not too deep, but this is what they're talking about, the 10 Sefirot. So there's the lower one, which is the basically this world that we live in, and then there's all this different, I call it, in the Kabbalah it's like Sefirot, but it's basically actually just realms, I guess you could
Okay,
say.
okay,
But then the bottom is the infinity, like Ein Sof. It's like the infinity. So
okay.
that infinity to me, with my experience, that feels like the pure consciousness. And it's also the one that's most connected to this physical realm. So it's like, it's interesting because it seems like the farthest, but it's also the one that we can feel the most because it's here all the time. I mean, everything is here all the time. It's
Okay.
not like a different place. So yeah, this is the way I see things. So I feel like we're all part of this like infinite pure consciousness. Like it's not like we're part of it. We are it. If
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah,
So
it does.
yeah.
Yeah. I there's so many ways to look at this. There's so many points of views. I think everybody kind of finds what works for them. I always tell people whatever works for you, as long as you're on the path to love, to finding yourself, to some sort of awakening. I'm all for that. And there's so many different points of views. And that's why in my podcast, I invite people from very different backgrounds because I think it's interesting to explore different ways people look at our existence. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love how you explained it. That
Yeah,
really,
this is I feel like this is something that I kind of this is the way I see things now. But like you said, I feel like we're always learning and we're always evolving, and there's always a different perspective. I mean, there's so much out there. So it's endless, really. Because I feel like energy is endless. It's like infinite. So it's like there's never gonna be, oh, that's it. I'm good. I know what's happening.
oh
It's like,
yeah, right.
you know.
So since you sort of brought it up, it's a heated topic right now, right? What's going on with Israel. But is there anything you could say about that in terms of energy, in terms of, can anything be done?
Yes, there is. So it's really interesting because when it first started, October 7th, it was very hard for me, because I was in the army. I know our values as a country. And it's like it just took me to this really dark place of like really like trying to prove that we're the good ones, or whatever. And really fast, I realized that, I mean, it was maybe like 1 week or 1.5 week of being really in a low place because of that, because it always kind of drags me down. And so I realized, like, after a while, and some people wouldn't like what I say, and that could be even like people might like our people, quote
Mhm.
unquote, like, the Jewish people, my friends, like the Israeli people that I know. The way I see this whole thing is, so after a week and a half, I was just like kind of asking myself, like, what can I actually do to help? Like, what is actually going to help everybody and myself? Um, and like what came up for me is like, oh my God, I need to look at my own root chakra, because this is all root chakra stuff. Like everything that's related to race, country we came from, religion, all the groups that we came from, it's root chakra. And after a week and a half, I was like, holy shit, I have a lot of shadows to look at in my root chakra. So then I started going deep and I started doing a lot of root chakra work. And there was a lot of shadows that came up for me, like all the programming of the belief. Like, I mean, for example, I went to a walk one night with my partner and I saw this like backpack, like a kid's backpack. And the first thing that came up for me is like, oh my God, we need to be careful. There's a bomb there. And it's like made me realize it was around the time that I was doing this work. I was like, oh my God, like it's crazy what the programming has been done for me. And there was some truth to it, growing up in Israel, because, I mean, that's how we would get bombed sometimes. But seeing that just made me realize like, oh my God, there's so much trauma and programming inside my energetic body and in the collective, because it's really in the collective. And like, what can I do is actually like going into myself and heal those wounds and look into those shadows and bring them into the light within myself. And what if more of us would do that? What if all of us would do that? Because to me, what's happening in Israel, there's a lot of really like intense shifts in energies that started, when COVID started. And to me, it's like, yeah, I mean, this is as a result of this shift. And to me, it's going to sound really bad, but like from more like spiritual lens, the way I look at it is like, we came to this earth to play this game. We chose to play this game. We chose, whether if our human doesn't know that we chose it, but like our soul chose it. We chose to play this game, and to me it's just a game. And I'm like, well, are we gonna fall into the crack and like try to prove ourselves, or going into like a victim? Is that really gonna help, or can we actually help in a way that's gonna really help, which is doing our own work and looking within ourselves. And by doing that, we can affect so much energetically. You probably, you probably know that because you've been doing this for a while, how when we heal ourselves, like it's automatically energetically affect on a lot of people, even if it's people that we don't know.
That's true. That's very true.
So
No, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because every time that I post something on social media, oh, look for love, be happy, this and that, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what are people saying about all these posts? How can a lot of people, they're skeptical about these things, and they will ask, how can you be so happy and find love and everything when there's people dying every day? And I think you just explained it very well, that by us being here and being upset and mad and hating is not going to help anything. It's just going to make matters worse. So by us being here at this point, thankfully, in a safe environment, and being able to spread love energetically, right, whichever way we can, it actually might have a ripple effect in a good way, rather than sit here and blame and hate the
yeah.
situation or the people.
Yeah, and another thing I want to say about that, like you said now, how it's really important for us to bring love and light into because there's such like imbalances. There's so much darkness in the collective, and I have no issues with darkness. I mean, I think we all have darkness within ourselves, but like to me, it's like there's like a lack of balance that's happening, and it's really important to bring that balance. And by bringing that balance means to me is like bringing my own shadows into the light, like bring it into the light. So they're like this way, the way I see it, is like we can create more balance on planet Earth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think that's a great point to conclude with. And any final thoughts or recommendations? I don't know, books, films, anything on the internet, anything you would want to recommend to people, or
It's funny
where to
because
find you, how to follow you.
okay, so first of all, I want to say that I mean, there's a lot of great podcasts, lots of great books, lots of great films, but I am not going to recommend any of those because, I mean, first, because nothing is coming to mind. as of now, but also because I really think the most important thing for people is to tune in with their bodies
Mm-hmm.
instead of, you know, I mean, there's, you know, obviously great things out there and it can be an addition, but it's not like, oh, let me just find everything externally, actually tune in with our body. And so like there's an exercise that I really like to give my clients to do and that I did myself for a while that really helped me to kind of be in contact with my body on a very deeper way. So there's a time in the evening when we go to bed, you know, from the moment we get in bed until we fall asleep, there's that window of time. So in that time, I would just invite, you know, the listeners to just tune in with their body and just to kind of scan and see what they're feeling and noticing their sensation, emotions. So sensation is going to be like, oh, I'm noticing some tightness in my throat. I'm noticing like tingling sensation in my feet. And emotion is going to be like, oh, I feel like sad. I'm feeling angry without really needing to fix it or change it, just acknowledging it that it's there. And you know what, for me, doing this every night for a long time, it's been absolutely game changer for me, for my journey. So that's like about like really, I feel like we have the answers within our bodies, all of us, and we just have to kind of go in and find it. It's already there, it's already here, and yeah, and I guess like if people wants to, you know, find me and like learn more about the chakras, I mean, my Instagram is the chakras queen, the chakras queen, and I also have a YouTube, my YouTube, Hanna Stone,
Mm-hmm.
Hannah no H at the end, last name Stone, and yeah, I mean that's those are the main things.
Yeah, I'll definitely include that in the description of the episode so people can access that easily. Thank you again so much for taking this time to tell us your amazing story and the journey that you're on. I hope that we will be in touch and help each other and help people
Yeah.
as we go on these journeys. So thank
Thank you.
you.
I want to say thank you so much for what you're doing. I think it's so crucial right now in this world, especially with all these big awakening. A lot of people are waking up, and it's like really important to have people like you to share, you know, your wisdom, to share your, you know, story, to share your insights about things. It's so, yeah, thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.